Serving Patrons with Digital Collections, a quantitative study of digital patron needs and preferences. In November and December of 2011, the Pew Internet Project conducted a series of telephone surveys to study the reading habits of Americans in the digital age. They found that 21% of adults had read an ebook in the last year, and of those, 14% of them got their most recent ebook from the library. Across all formats, those with library cards are more likely to borrow content than to buy, and 19% of ebook readers get recommendations for books from libraries. 12% of those readers look for titles at the library first. This is just an example of the studies of ebooks and their readers that are being done. This study is the first in a series, and the Pew Internet Project currently has an online survey open that is specifically about ebook readers and their use of public libraries. There have been studies such as the Pew Report that look at Americans in general, the populations of other countries, and those that have focused on ebooks in specific academic libraries. There have been studies of library patrons and digital content, such as one done by the Sunshine Coast Libraries in Australia, that focus more on the user's awareness of the library's collection and general usage of digital content, such as ebooks. The problem is that there haven't been any studies on the use of ebooks and other digital content by users of a specific public library in the United States. The purpose of this proposed research is to discover the needs and preferences of library patrons who use digital content provided by a mid-sized public library and then compare that data to the library's collection development data. The first research question is, what are the needs and preferences of library patrons who use digital collections on a website associated with a public library? Library patrons are defined as individuals 18 years and older who are valid card holders for the public library serving as the research site. Digital collections are defined as collections of electronic books, audiobooks, and videos maintained by library staff and housed online for patron access. A website associated with a public library is defined as a website offering digital collections purchased by a public library for use by its patrons. The second research question is the library meeting the needs and preferences of library patrons who use digital collections by providing appropriate genres and formats? Needs are defined as the patron's comfort level with the process of downloading content from the library and otherwise interacting with the collection. Preferences are defined by the types of devices a patron owns and uses for library content, and the formats both available for those devices and what format the patron identifies as enjoying. Genres are defined as the subject headings attached to titles as provided by the digital content vendor contracted by the library. Format is defined by the file type of the digital content, such as Kindle book, PDF, EPUB, MP3 audio, WAV audio, and video. Surveys conducted with a sample that is representative of an entire user population provide helpful indicators for services, but are not as applicable in terms of collection development. Collections that have a specific population of users with unique needs and preferences are even less served by these broad surveys. Using Ranganathan's 5 laws as a framework, the research aims to better make use of digital content by connecting patrons with content as easily as possible. Communicating with patrons who conduct library transactions online, including borrowing digital materials, via an online survey is appropriate given the subject matter and design of the research. This study is aimed at providing libraries of similar size as well as other researchers with information regarding the circulation habits of patrons who download digital content from libraries in order to build collections, provide programming, and promote this new media. Potential participants will be contacted via email marketing, the library website, one-on-one interaction with library staff, and by other participants choosing to share the study. All of these methods will point potential participants to the web-based survey. Participants will ultimately volunteer themselves, but the ways in which they are reached follow the convince, propulsive, and snowball sampling methods that all fall under the umbrella of non-probable sampling. This method is useful in this study because the participants are available, convenient, and represent patrons who use the collection under investigation. A web-based survey of 10 primarily multiple-choice questions will be the main instrument for collecting data from participants. The survey will be available for 1 month and linked on the library website, as well as marketed through email newsletters and by staff. To encourage participation, an incentive may be offered, such as the participant's name in a drawing for an e-reader or tablet case, or else an e-reader. Collection development data gathered will relate to the number of unique patrons using the collection, the number of items per format, genre, and the frequency of circulation interactions, such as checkouts and holds. The survey consists of 3 sections: your devices, your preferences, our collection, and an optional section for demographics. The portion of the survey related to genre uses the same number of choices and wording as the subject headings used by the library's digital content vendor in order to best compare the participant data to the collection development data. Data from the survey will first be checked for duplicate submissions, and identifying patron information, such as a library card number, will be deleted. Data from questions with open text options, such as an other field, will be coded. Data will then be compiled and descriptive statistics calculated. Collection development data will be drawn from the same time period and used to evaluate the collection by inferring data from comparisons made with the survey data. Data can also be compared to wider studies such as the Pew Internet Project's study mentioned earlier to see how the population fits within the larger context of ebooks and their readers. This will also serve as a measure of validity for the study. If an incentive has been used to encourage participation, identifying information will be extracted from the response data rather than deleted in order to facilitate a drawing for the incentive. Using an incentive may increase the survey's response rate, but using a library card number as an identifier may not be the most convenient choice for patrons. These numbers tend to be long and may not be among those numbers easily accessible by memory for patrons. This element, as well as other elements of the data gathering process, can be tested by using paper prototyping with a variety of users that represent different degrees of technological confidence. Testing the instrument in this way will help researchers revise the instrument so that it is as user-friendly as possible. In summary, there are many ways in which libraries can take steps to remain relevant to users in the digital age. When publishers and patrons gravitate to a new format, libraries need to include patrons in the conversation regarding the growth of that new collection in order to continue to offer the best service.